it's a good leasable property. So, I mean, it's not.
Believe me, I understand, Mr.
So
Rodriguez.
we have to comply to get, because we're not going to just sit on the property.
She is, like Mrs. Garcia said, you know, she's very leery of your tenant.
Yes, I mean,
And I don't blame her, you know.
But go ahead, can I make a suggestion? Could you perhaps postpone this matter for 30 days? Give us an opportunity to work with Mr. Soto and work with them, put together some type of contract with them that would put in that contract the obligation to construct the development that they're talking about on the land, and then appropriate conditions to make sure that happens. That way, you get a situation where you're assured of getting what you want. It seems like to me everybody would like to have, that no one has a problem with that kind of business out there as long as it's appropriate outgrowth. And obviously, it's in the best interest of the city to have the land developed. That's always in the best interest of the city.
Yeah,
It's good quality development.
And then we just want to take it from goodwill, all parties concerned, to actual writing.
Yeah.
That's what we
Is
want.
that, is see that fair for?
Just so we know what we have to do, that's fine.
If that's the best you can probably get.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll make
Just
a,
tell us what we need to do.
I'll make a motion to table it for no more than 30 days. If an agreement gets worked out earlier, we bring it back to council at an earlier date.
We have a motion by Jesse Gandara to table it for at least 30 days.
Just a question.
With the provisions?
Go ahead, Mr.
Are they going to be allowed to continue operating?
No. It's a denied zone.
The motion seconded by Gloria Rodriguez, Mary Garcia. Gloria Rodriguez. Jesse Gandara.
Yes.
Okay, item number 16 is tabled.
Actually, regular rate, the rate.
Now moving on to the addendum to the regular agenda. That will be item number 17, discussion and action to award weatherization construction services contract under SECO grant, sub-award number 463 MM to Solar Smart Living LLC for the implementation of energy conservation measures in the City of Socorro's administration offices and the Socorro Police Department headquarters.
Well, I guess they're going to keep it with it.
Mayor, this is a grant that we received to go out and bid out for weatherization projects for two of our locations, at the administrative offices at the Socorro Police Department, and the Solar Smart Living LLC company came in as the low bidder on both projects, and there's no general revenue involved. It's all grant money to do this.
So I motion to approve by Gloria Rodriguez, seconded by Jesse Gandara. Mary Garcia.
Yes.
Gloria Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jesse Gandara.
Yes.
Okay, item number 17 is approved. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have anything for executive session?
Oh, presentation.
We're ready.
Okay. We now have a presentation of the comprehensive master plan project status report by Sites Southwest LLC.
cross our fingers. Council, Mayor,
Go ahead.
I really apologize for being late. I ran into traffic, and then Murphy's Law would have it that my flash drive wouldn't read. So but I did send in some information on it prior. I don't know if you received the information that I had sent. But most of it's in there, so you don't need to have that in advance. Okay. There we go. There it goes, okay. So far, we have had 2 public meetings. The first one was at the Rio Vista Community Center on October 5th in the evening, and then the second one was Tuesday, February 22nd, and that was at the Socorro Sports Center, and that was also in the evening. We have one more planned at this time, and it is Wednesday, April 20th, and it will be at Rojas Elementary cafeteria. We will put together packets of information as we did last time for you to pass out to constituents and send out to those that you would like to send it out to. We've also, yesterday there was already a notice in the El Paso Times for the next public meeting. So we're hoping to have really good participation from the public. As part of the meetings, we had some activities for people to do, including what are your likes and your dislikes, and then this last time we had sort of an open forum where people could walk around, sort of an open house where people could go walk around to the different stations and talk about individual items rather than general items. And interestingly, a lot of the comments were very, very similar from one meeting to the next meeting. So we kind of outlined a few of those in here. The actual comprehensive master plan will be a lot more detailed, and the public input report is actually this big. So we couldn't put all of that here. So I just kind of outlined a few of the main highlights. The general infrastructure type of items were included things along the lines of we need more sidewalks, we need lighting, we need water tanks for the firefighters, gas lines on horizon are dangerous, there's lots of trash, there are many dead animals, somebody even called it roadkill country, so they were concerned about these types of items. Transportation and roads, am I speaking too loudly with the microphone?
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
fine.
With the transportation and roads, we had comments along the lines of there's a lot of traffic at certain intersections. Horizon and Alameda was one that was mentioned, as well as Horizon and North Loop. And they felt like something needed to be done in those areas. That there's too much traffic on Middle Drain and Bauman roads. That a lot of the streets still needed to be paved or had really old paving was another concern, and lots of potholes. So they wanted to have a newer and updated paving. More access to I-10 or from I-10, so there wasn't enough connection down. Horizon Boulevard was essentially the only one. And they didn't want more homes built, because there's, rumors going around, there are new subdivisions going in, and there's a concern about all these new subdivisions going in and not enough streets to serve them, as well as the streets that we do have are too narrow. So they wanted those widened. They felt like the speed limit on Rio Vista needed to be changed. We got some real specific items, and then we got real general things. So we kind of just gave you a little bit of a synopsis here. The bridge by Sanchez School needs to be widened. And then we had water and wastewater and utility issues. So sewage plants that they stink during the summer, and it makes certain intersections of certain areas very uncomfortable to be in. Socorro needs better drainage. A lot of these things, were expressed by the council members as well in our interviews with you all as well. And so, and these these actually came specifically from the residents. This was not kind of a synopsis of the interviews that we had with you. More maintenance of the ponding areas. The corner of Carlin and Favila accumulates a lot of water when it rains. There were a lot of parks and recreation concerns. A lot of people wanted to fix up the existing parks. That there were some areas that they didn't even realize. When we showed them on the second public meeting, that we had actually the parks laid out, and they said, "That's a park? I'm right around the corner from that. I didn't even know that was a park." So there was some confusion as to where the parks were. So they wanted those more upgrades to those, and especially grass. People mentioned that there wasn't any grass. Walkways with lights, more recreation activities for the kids. Public facilities and services. There was pet control for dogs and cats. People are leaving dogs on Middle Drain Ditch. I don't know exactly what that means, but programs after school are needed. So a lot of concern for after school community activities. Once again, a speed limit issue, fire service, lots of fire service. Lack of chemical disposal can cause epidemic. I know there was an issue about, we talked a little bit about recycling. I think it comes up on another slide. There was some talk of wanting longer hours for the recycling or more advertising for the recycling center, and also about chemical disposal. There was some concern that their chemicals couldn't be disposed of there, so where should they take them? There's a lot of weeds and trash in a lot of areas. Some people felt like there wasn't enough trash pickup. There were actually people who didn't know that we had a recycling center also here in Socorro. Thank you. And that they wanted more trash pickup. Then there was historic preservation concern. One of the activities in the first public meeting was pick the things you like the best and the things you do not like about Socorro. And I think overall all of the groups indicated, thank you, that they felt like the mission was one of the most positive things that the city had. And one person actually called it a jewel in Socorro. There was a lot of concern for that area had really deteriorated. They wanted traffic diverted off of Socorro so it didn't hurt any more of the buildings. More preservation of the existing adobe structures. They really wanted an inventory of those buildings so that everybody knew what they were and where they were. Offering incentives for preservation or tourism so that more of the buildings would be kept up, and there would be activities that would happen in those areas so that there would be attractions for people to come to that area. And then other businesses onto that area, that a lot of the businesses that had been there are gone, and that they wanted more businesses in that area. We had comments such as Socorro has a lot of good people, and we just need to work together. There were some comments like that. They wanted more police. They felt like taxes were kind of high. They needed a Boys and Girls Club, they wanted a public library. They felt like there'd been plans made, but no real implementation, is what they said. Oh, there's the advertising for the recycling center. Okay, and so, that's sort of where we've gotten up to this point, and those highlights were the major issues that came up. There are a lot of minor issues, but those are the major issues. Now, in this next public meeting, we're going to be taking, and we've already kind of brought the future land use to city staff and then to the council as well, in sort of a general small scale. We're going to take it to the public in this next meeting and have activities for them to interact about what they think the land uses should be for some of those areas. Especially, one of the things we've been tasked to work on is the annex areas. The annex areas that have been annexed and those that are looking to be annexed in the near future. So that's sort of where this is, and it not only does it indicate different parcels of land that the city owns and the county owns, it also identifies large areas that are really quite large, over 43 acres. And the reason for that was we've been working with Redco as well on economic development, and they were real concerned about where the big parcels are, because those are the types of parcels that would be most advantageous for larger companies, especially along the rail line. And that's something that they've been real interested in, because that's something that they can sell very easily. The I-10 corridor and the rail line. So we have in Socorro the largest number of large parcels of anybody else in this area. There just isn't that kind of land along a rail line that's open limits. So Redco is really, really interested in being able to market that. Okay. So we've also been in this process interviewing with stakeholders, and as I mentioned, Redco has been the one we've been dealing with for economic development. There are also drainage issues that we've been dealing with through stormwater, and transportation corridors with the MPO, TxDOT, and so we've been meeting with them as well. We've got the information for the new park and the community centers. We've been identifying walking, biking, and equestrian trails, so there would be that opportunity for people to really make connections all the way through the city. And also with the safe routes to schools. We've been, trying to figure out, is there a need or a desire for agricultural preservation in Socorro? So that's been one of the questions that we've been asking. Typically in a rural environment, often that's a concern. It hasn't so far shown to be a concern for Socorro. Most of the residents have not shown much of an interest or concern for losing that agricultural land. We've been gathering information on the subdivisions and the planning, the future plans in the planning department. And the historic district ordinance is being revised, and so that'll be incorporated or amended or reviewed. So we've been, like I said, looking at the future transportation networks and making sure that we're planning for all those future uses in the land use plan. And then we're giving that information back to TxDOT and MPO and working with them. One of the concerns with the parks has been upgrading them. Well, with that comes maintenance. And so, the idea of needing a maintenance department for the parks department or outsourcing that would likely be the direction that Socorro would need to go in order to keep those parks upgraded and looking nice. The concept of smart growth has also been brought up within the stakeholder conversations. Needing to create a unique sense of place for Socorro so that you feel like you're in the valley, or feel like you're in Socorro. You know when you enter Socorro, because right now you don't feel that right now. You don't know exactly where your Socorro starts and where it ends. And so creating that is part of what we're in the process of. making sure because the Lower Valley, the county, Nassau County Water Improvement District, who handles the irrigation ditches, they're real picky about what you can do in and around their property, and so we're coordinating with them to make sure that we respect what they have there, but at the same time, we're trying to use some of our walking trails and biking trails and equestrian trails, and the concern is, liability on the part of the water district, and also maintenance of their roads, so we've been talking to them a little bit about that. And also with the Mission Trail Association and trying to figure out, how to create that identity or make that identity a stronger element again. Flooding has always been an issue, and we're working through that with the engineers. And looking at the possibility of making dual-purpose parks so that they would be able to be parks as well as stormwater catchment basins. And so they would be dual-purpose, but you'd be able to catch a lot of that stormwater in those areas, so you wouldn't have much flooding problems. I talked about the safe routes to schools, annexation, that's part of our land use, and trying to come up with ideas for that. We had quite a few ideas, both from the council and also from residents. That was part of the discussion we had with them. What would you like to see here, and what would you like to see on I-10, and that type of thing. Also, an administrative center. So Socorro doesn't really have what we would consider a downtown or a central area per se. So a lot of people might consider this to be the central area. Other people have said, and we've asked this as part of the questions, other people would think that the North Loop Horizon area might be the center of town or downtown, but there's no actual area anybody can say. Other people have said the Mission area. So the idea of creating sort of a downtown, maybe with a plaza, an administrative area with, so that when they went to go see the city offices, they would know where the city offices were and could actually feel like they were in Socorro and they knew this where to go. So we've been putting together some ideas for that. Utility infrastructure, working through with the water utilities, electric company, gas company, all the different utilities. So they know where the buildings are going to be built, where the housing developments are going to be, and so they're ready for all of that. And then public transportation, where the bus routes are, where they will be in the future, and making sure they understand where those need to be. And perhaps even we've been talking to them about extending the BRT out here, because it already goes to Zaragoza, and in the future, is there any possibility of it coming out to Socorro as a possibility? Okay, so these are some of the exhibits that we sent as well, and these were some of the things that we put up at the last public meeting, and they'll be part of the comprehensive master plan. They're all in GIS, so they're able to be then transmitted to all the different agencies, and that's the same language that they all use. So they'll be able to just pop it into their information and use that for future growth. The neighborhoods, public facilities, of course zoning. And these are current in some cases. We're starting to put some of those pieces into it now, where we've actually started to figure out where some of those things will be. But for right now, these are from the background of putting all that together and getting everything from previous information and other agencies. These are the current parks, and most of them are up here in the on this what would be the north side of the city, which we call west. But anyway, up in this area here, so we're currently looking at where we can put some more parks out in these areas, where some good locations might be. And these are some, like I said, large vacant and publicly owned lands. So those would be possibilities for parks or administrative areas. You can even have to then purchase them. But if you, and also, the other thing about this is we're looking for connections through here from I-10 down what we call south to create sort of this access, and having some of that land already in place makes it a lot easier than trying to acquire it. I don't know where I got it. Okay. I have one more slide. Also, we put together a survey, and we left that, and well, we gave those out during the second public meeting, and we've left those at the different city offices so that people can still pick them up or drop them off, and so we've been collecting those occasionally as well to incorporate those ideas as well. Okay? So the next public meeting will be going, using the land use map as sort of a background to the whole thing. We'll give a presentation, and we'll talk about the land uses and all the different information on that, and then have some activities associated with that to get some feedback on that. We should be able to take that information, and we're planning one more public meeting where we would take sort of the draft plan after it's been discussed with the staff and also with the council to make sure that what we're looking at for the master plan everybody's happy with it before we go out to the public, so that everybody will get a chance to see that before it actually goes out to the public. Okay? Yes, we do. We have everybody's information, and we keep referring back and forth to it, and this was an update. So we took the original information as well, and we incorporated a lot of that as well, and then we're taking all of the new ideas, and we're kind of throwing it all into the washing machine and you know, coming out with a nice finished product in the end. Great presentation. Thank you.
Glad you said washing machine and not making sausage.
Debbie?
Yeah.
Present that we're going to have a specialist on capital improvement
That's a good point. That's a good point.
on the next meeting.
Yeah, well, at the next meeting, the public meeting, the next day for the, and actually it'll be your next council meeting, we're going to have the impact fee specialist come in. And he'll have reviewed all the information that we have that affects the impact fees. And then he'll be able to give you an overview of impact fees and how he thinks that it would work for Socorro. So you can decide finally one way or the other whether or not to have impact fees. And I think at that point, you should be well informed by the end of that meeting. And you'll be able to bring all your questions at that time to make sure that you're able to ascertain whether or not to pursue impact fees. Okay, and everything we've been doing is bilingual. So we've had plenty of translators and everything, all the written materials all bilingual to make sure that everybody's included. Okay, any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and once again, I apologize for the delay.
Dave-
Murphy's Law, that's all I can say. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, anything for executive session?
Yeah, whatever. They moved in there.
I made a motion to, for Kathy Polaka to come, to this wording.
Second.
We have a motion made by Gloria Rodriguez, seconded by Jessica and Mary Garcia. Gloria Rodriguez? Jessica Ganda?
Yes.
Motion passes. Ms. Kathy Apodaca, you'd like to come up and be sworn in, please, as a commissioner.
Come on, Mrs. Zapata, come on, sit down. Raise your right hand. Okay. I, Kathy Apodaca,
I, Kathy Alvarado,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of the Historical Landmark Commission
of the Historical Landmark Commission
of the City of Socorro,
of
Texas,
the City of Socorro, Texas,
and will,
and will,
to the best
to the best
of my ability,
of my ability,
preserve, protect,
preserve, protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution